everyone, thatoldnerfguy here. I really dig those small X-Shot blaster. The Hawkeye and the Vigilante are possibly the best performing X-Shot out there, with average FPS between 85 and 95 FPS for this one. It was like a 90 FPS average blaster out of the box. But this thing could do a little more. So I basically reinforced pretty much everything inside the shell. I tried to take you along with me during this modification as best as I could. This spanned over 2 days, but basically this is a break action, load in barrel, brass barrel blaster with 130 FPS performance. Here we go, we'll see each other at the end of the video. First, we're going to open it, see what kind of space we have inside and what are our options. We are in. This Hawkeye is going to be turned into a real barrel break. I want to insert something there. I already made a piece. I took a X-Shot micro plunger tube. I cut out the top of it. I filed it down so I can fit a barrel right here. This will be able to mount a brass barrel with another piece that's going to hold it inside somewhere. I'm going to put I don't know, 6 inch, 5, I don't know, 6 or 5 inch of brass inside with this little piece. I'm going to have to do something with this tube. I will need to reverse this piece, flip it front side back, just so I can insert it in and have this wide mouth to come and rest on it with a seal when I close the blaster. And I might try to slam in this X-Shot meteor spring inside. A little longer, but my best guess is it's gonna work, or it's just gonna twist my plunger. I'm not sure yet, but it might work. Maybe a little strong. The actual spring inside gives me already 90-92 FPS. So it's not a bad blaster by any means, this X-Shot Hawkeye. Let's remove this. As always, it's an easy job. One screw here. I might add a second screw on this plunger like I like to do. You know the one, do we have one inside here? No, the one with the big flat head on top of them. Yeah, something like that, with a big flat head. I might even have a bigger one in there, yeah. Something like this here. If I had this screw here, it's gonna help hold the plunger afterward. So I might just use this screw over this plunger to help with rigidity. Cool. That's done for this. Let's check. This is already no restrictor on this blaster. Let me remove the screw completely. Not a bad spring. Oh, this one got just the right size. And I guess it's compressible enough to go in there. We're gonna see that later. That or a second spring intercoiled in, but I don't have simple spring to intercoil in. not risking this. Okay. So for this, the seal, we have a good seal, so I'm not gonna change, but it's very dry. There's not much lube inside, can need some. This, I will need to sand it down a bit, yeah, because it's not really fitting in very far in. It's forcing it. And I cracked it. It's okay. Nothing a little epoxy will fix. Do I have the right link? Yeah, if I just open this a little bit, I can shove it down there. See the principle here? Superb. Principle here, I'm gonna have this wide mouth with a round seal around it. I'm gonna fill some dead space inside this this barrel here to bring hair, just shrink it down a little more like the push rod on a Nexus Pro or Aeon Pro. I'm just gonna shrink down this hole by inserting a piece inside. And then all the air is gonna be concentrated here, seal around, and get directly shot in this piece, which is going to contain the brass barrel to shoot our dart. So let's sand this thing a little bit. I'm going to sand the interior of the hole and the surrounding of it. It's inside, it's straight, and yes, I am at the right place here. Good. So this is measured. I'm supposed to have a pen somewhere. So this is my mark here. This is marked. Perfect. Now for this. Yeah, I really need to open the hole by, yeah. Okay, go from this end to this end completely, not going over. Let's start cutting. So I'm back. This little piece has been shaped, so it's gonna come here and sit inside of my barrel with this brass barrel that I just prepared. I filed and I shaved everything just like I showed in my Brass 101 preparation video. I also filed down this part a bit to thin it out. And since this barrel is swagged, when I'm gonna insert it in, it's gonna stop by itself inside this thing, not falling through or anything. This piece goes in front. Ideally, the little fin here in the middle of the flat side of this part. Give me a clean barrel. This is gonna go like this inside of this shell just to hold the barrel in place, and I'm gonna glue this part on one half of the shell so it's not moving. Besides that, it's pretty much it. Or I'm just gonna fix it stiff so it's gonna be stuck in the shell and not moving, because I don't want it to be completely permanent. Let's say I want to put a longer one or a shorter one, or just want to remove it and put something very short here. So this is my barrel for this break. Now, the thing is, when put together, this thing goes well on this part and it ends up right on the edge. And there's like no space to fit this one in between. So I'm going to fit it just inside the shell Like I said, this was the part from a vigilante or something like the nozzle that is normally here stuck on it. I just filed it a little, filed the interior of my tube. Don't push too hard or you're gonna explode it. I already cracked mine a little. I'm gonna glue it. That's how I'm gonna solve this. But here, I need to push it far enough. But I got the plunger head, and the plunger head is still not touching. So it's sealed. The plunger head don't even want to come out when this thing goes in. That's a good sign. And now, still need to go a little further in. No way. I don't believe it. No, that's it. So that's about it. But that leaves me a gap here. This gap, I know a seal like this could fill it. But I might, since I still have to fill the dead space inside this part, I might just fill the dead space up to here with something a little smaller and let it come out maybe just a bit for maybe an O-ring or a seal around it. So this way, when this thing is gonna come in, they're gonna interlock with a piece between the two and the seal around. So all the power is gonna be transferred from the tube to this barrel with the dart in. Look pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to achieve it. Not that much to do. Here the tube was really dry, like barely any lube inside. So that's gonna help when I'm gonna lube it. Gonna need to find something to fill that gap. But once this gap is filled, this is gonna be magnificent. Really. I'm gonna be able to reassemble the thing and test fire it with its original spring that was inside at first to see the power. This was between 85 and 95, so it's about 90 FPS, 90-ish. It was a very good blaster. I think it's gonna go down maybe a notch with the new brass barrel with the stock spring, but since I'm gonna use half dart, it might bring it back up to the stock performance. Hopefully it's gonna be any better and I'm gonna be able to put the meteor spring inside. But if I put the meteor spring, I'm gonna fill this plunger rod with epoxy to be sure it's a lot stronger because the thing is flexing. I'm gonna fill it up with epoxy and I'm gonna add the second screw, this screw here, so it's gonna hold it even more, because only one screw is good but two is better. Could I? Yeah, a little tape on this thing, but there's no real leak. It's really just to hold it in place maybe and put a little thickness around the sides so it's gonna hold in my shell when I close it. As usual, I put what I think is a little too much, and we're gonna see if it is. Is it too much? Maybe a little. I got my line, and it's not going with my line because of the tape. Let's remove a layer. That seemed just about right. Can the thing be closed? Yes. This little orange piece that I built out of this microtube to seat the barrel is just the right thickness to fill the already existing space that is between the two halves. Now there's no more loose. You can't really add more. But with this part being here, it's going to be quite easy to make the connection. So let me fill this thing with something harder, to like a plastic pipe to put inside to fill this space, and find a solution that at what's gonna come out of there, or where I'm gonna put my seal. I'm not sure of where I'm gonna put my seal. Maybe I'm gonna have to glue glue this part here to be sure it is sealed all around. Maybe I will have to. Didn't thought of that. Maybe I will just have to glue it there and then put a ring seal on this side. Or of course the little going thing with the O-ring could do the trick, since I already swiped the end of my barrel. It's gonna be one of the two. Let me work that out for the dead space filling, but basically the barrel is done. Okay, light reinforcement has been done. I haven't done anything to this barrel because this little gold brass line here through the shell is pretty nice, and that worked and is pretty much lined up. I filled up the interior of my priming bar with hot glue just because it helped with the rigidity of the screw holes everywhere, and gonna give it some integrity and some weight. It's going to be a little more firm. I did the same thing for some key spot in the handle just to give it some rigidity and to help a little with it. And I filled up the whole dead space at the bottom for the spring seat so it doesn't flex under spring load. For this nozzle, I inserted a pipe coupler, CPVC pipe coupler. Between the two, I shim it down, I shove it down the barrel very, very tight, and I had some super glue just to hold it in place. This plunger head, I pierce this second hole all the way through so I can put a better screw in, plus I filled out the bottom with epoxy, so it's going to be a lot more rigid here. I did the same thing with the plunger rod. Completely filled it with epoxy. This is gonna prevent it from snapping. Normally they snap right here, leaving everything on the plunger head on this part here. So let's hope it's gonna be all okay. I'm gonna put the Meteor spring inside just because I know with my light twin spring setup, which is about the same thing, I hit 123, 125 FPS with this blaster. Now, final assembly of this thing. This spring is pretty much perfect. I hope it's just gonna go in because, yeah, they are very tight because of the epoxy. It's okay. Nothing a screw can overcome. Okay, this one is going in. Let's put the new one. And I make sure I pierce it all the way through because the screw is gonna go all the way through. Yeah. So now I got 2 screws on my plunger head to be sure it's not going anywhere and to prevent it from twisting. I had some epoxy inside. I have some brand new epoxy here. For this part here, I'm gonna shove it in. It's not really me who decides, it's the plunger rod. Okay, now the plunger rod is getting pushed, so I'm a little too far. Maybe a bit again. Seems about right. Let's tape everything on place. Everything should be good here. My gosh. Really? The catch, and now this too long spring for this blaster. And it's holding in place. Very nice, very nice. Now the spring seats look like it's barely moving. Nice. Let's put that back here. Do I forget something? No. Fingers crossed, it's gonna close. Okay, all done, all together. Hopefully it's gonna prime correctly. I'm not gonna have any trouble with my seal. Let's try it now. I put a little tape to be sure it was completely sealed with the shell. This barrel looked good. Let's shoot a few rounds through the chronograph. 126. I was not expecting much more improvement from that Meteor spring because it was about the same load, the same thing, 126.2, about the same load as my twin spring setup. But I wanted single spring, 125. That's right on it, it's cool. 120, that's an outlier, maybe. 117, it's going down. Is it really going down? $125. $118. $121. Oh, this one is tight. 127. 124, sorry for this one. 125. This one hit the back of the chronograph. 96, that's going to bring down my average. 122, let's fire two more, and that's going to be it. 126.9. 126.9 again, duplicate. I shot 15 darts through it. I have an average of 121 with a maximum of 128. Yeah, happy about it. This thing works. I hope you enjoyed this pretty straightforward mod. I was not sure of the project at first when I started it, but yeah, it ended up pretty well. The hot glue everywhere gives some really good stiffness to the priming handle and to the handle itself, like preventing cracking. The seal is sitting pretty nicely here. I put some electric tape just to be sure the cracks were filled here, but it wasn't mandatory. I was having pretty much the same result without the tape. I had shot up to 100 FPS, maybe seal might be leaking somewhere a little, but it's varying from 120-ish to 140. So yeah, how about 130 FPS blaster? That Pro X-Shot Hawkeye is pretty cool. It shoots straight as an arrow and pretty hard, and it's like twice as more fun to manipulate, to play with. I mean, the fact that this thing, because the X-Shot Hawkeye is pretty stiff to open. Now with the kind of pressure and I completely feel the dead space between the two halves, it opened quite easily. And with the swagged end on my brass barrel here and the centerpiece I made, it's very easy. You just prime and yeah, you have your performance. This thing shoots straight and good. I really love it. I recommend this modification. It is pretty straightforward. I carve a few pieces from spare part I have, but it's always something you can overcome with other part you may have, or electric tape for the middle piece here. But if you can 3D print one, it would be amazing. I would love to have the model or the files for 3D printed part for those two. I might even design some myself. That's it for this Hawkeye 130 FPS modification, barrel break, load in barrel modification. Hope you enjoy. In the meantime, you can always follow me on Facebook and Instagram at thatoldnerfguy. Please leave a like and comment, subscribe for more content. Don't forget to hit that bell to stay notified of my latest video. This was Dave Fatag. See you next time. Bye.